Any project's objective is to move from where you are now to what do you want to be by the end of the project later in the future. You might achieve this goal by having a new product, solution, or service. So what we need in some sort of a map to show us the route from where we are now to our target destination in the future. A map that will show us the big picture of our product, the various milestones, and how our destination should appear brighter as we move closer and closer to our goal. Such a tool is called a story map. A story map is a low-tech, high-touch, agile tool that depicts the sequence of the user experience from starting the application until quitting the application. That way, we can visualize how the user will react with our application from the start to end. It's like a huge story of how the user uses our software. The x-axis represents the time from start to end. The y-axis could represent criticality or optionality. And now let's have a closer look at how a story map is presented. Story map is represented in the form of a matrix. The first row of the matrix is called the backbone. From its name, backbone is the list of essential epics, themes, features, or user stories that should be present in the product to function. The items are in the order of user experience from left to right. For example, for our Mind Games app, our backbone could be login, browse games, select game, play game, display updated score. In the second row, we place the steps or the user stories needed to realize the items from the backbone. Here we are adding extra details to the backbone. That's why this row is called the walking skeleton. For example, our login could have create an account, update account, delete account, user authentication. Below the walking skeleton, we place all user stories stickies in descending order from the highest priority, optionality, or criticality. So in our example, there could be many ways to implement user authentication. We might have sign in using Facebook, sign in using Google, sign in using email, forget username or password, double authentication. In this example, we want to implement all the user stories under user authentication, but our highest priority is sign in using Facebook, then sign in using Google, and so on. The same thing should be done for other items in the backbone row and in the walking skeleton items. So briefly, story points are tools that allow visualizing the big picture of the user experience using our software, allowing for product features prioritization according to their priority from the customer's viewpoint. This helps in setting a common definition of done, keeping all stakeholders on the same page. Now, after having our story map, it's time to decide the route to get from where we are now to where we want to be. So, we need some sort of a roadmap of creating our product. And that's exactly what we are going to create, a product roadmap. The story map provides a basis for constructing the product roadmap. What is the product roadmap? The product roadmap serves as the project plan in the traditional approach. It shows what user stories the team plans to deliver on the coming releases. We can use the story map to look at all of our user stories and design what user stories should be included in each release. That is, of course, while keeping in mind to make each release a marvelous user experience to the users. The product roadmap will look like this. Okay, let me explain what user experience really means here a little further. We have prioritized user stories. Imagine if our select game user story or user stories has the lowest priority. If we blindly create the user story in just according to their prioritization order, we might not implement the select game in the first release. And guess what? The whole release will be useless without the user's ability to select the game before playing it. When we are done creating our product roadmap, we will know exactly which user stories will go in which release. The first release is usually our minimum marketable product, which we want to release as early as possible. Usually, the minimum marketable product or the first release contains the user stories in the backbone row, the walking skeleton row, and some user stories or flesh from the remaining rows. It's important to know that this order might be changed after each release planning meeting or after each backlog grooming activity, according to the priority of user stories. Because in Agile, it's all about delivering the highest value items first.